Lucas Tomlinson, thank you. So let's get to our power panel now. Rosemary Becky, former Republican congressional candidate of New Jersey, Citigroup Vice President of Federal Government Relations, and Brownstein Hyatt Farber Schreck partner, and Fred Hicks, Hicks Evaluation Group founder and president. Just got a couple of minutes with you both. I want to get to Fred, to you first, because I'm wondering what's going on in your head right now. Do you believe this Washington Post report? I mean, is the president not getting the same approval numbers that we're all seeing?
Listen, I think it's very normal for someone to live with a bit of regret, particularly given that he was ushered out of the race in July of 2024 this year. But the reality is this, that he's lamenting decisions, he's reflecting, but what he is not doing is calling on people to storm the Capitol. He is, in fact, encouraging Democrats to be a part of a peaceful transition. And he is planning on attending the inauguration on January 20th, something that President-elect Trump did not do. But this is something that's normal, I think, and we watched this play out very publicly over the last 4 years, actually.
Well, I'm wondering, shouldn't he have regret, though, that he didn't drop out earlier? Because that is what Democrats and his party feel he should have done.
Well, that's true. I mean, listen, as the reporter mentioned, 75% of Democrats said they did not want President Biden to run. 2/3 of all Americans didn't want a Biden-Trump rematch. And so the reality is that I think America is ready to turn the page from both of those. But given the choices that we were faced with, people chose to go with Donald Trump over the Biden-Harris ticket or the Harris-Walz ticket. But this is someone who wanted this job for more than 50 years. He finally got it, and he was only able to serve one term. So I do understand the feelings that he's having right now.
But he was elected as a transitional president. I mean, even Senate Democrats feel that way. I want to go to you, Rosemary, really quickly on this, because I wonder if the president would have seen things differently had there been more reporting on the way that he was carrying out business. I want to talk about the way the media covered his mental fitness. Veteran CBS News reporter Jan Crawford actually hit back at fellow journalists for not better reporting on President Biden's mental fitness here. Listen to this.
Undercovered, underreported. That would be, to me, Joe Biden's obvious cognitive decline that became undeniable in the televised debate. So it's starting to emerge now that his advisors kind of managed his limitations. It's been reported in the Wall Street Journal for 4 years, and yet he insisted that he could still run for president. We should have much more forcefully questioned whether he was fit for office for another 4 years, which could have led to a primary for the Democrats. It could have changed the scope of the entire election.
So she's talking about this report from earlier this month that revealed that aides kept meetings short, that they were controlled access to the president. Top advisors acted as go-betweens, and public interactions became more and more scripted. The administration, Rosemary, denies that Biden has declined. What do you think?
Oh, I think the American people clearly were concerned about his capabilities, and I think they spoke very loud and clear in this last election. I don't know how you can deny that his abilities were definitely questionable.
Yeah. Fred, I want to ask you about the Democrats and where they go from here. They're really struggling to regroup after losing the White House, the Senate not being able to take back the majority in the House. And more of these party leaders are now calling out the failures of the Democratic Party, the left. Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett questioned the old guard here.
Within the Democratic caucus, we are really stuck in our old ways of doing things, which is you get there by seniority. And so if you've been there longer, then you get the post. I think that America is looking at us and saying, wait a minute, we lost the election. We're looking towards y'all to show us that you're willing to shake it up if it means that we can move this country forward.
And it's not just her. Outgoing Democratic lawmakers are also taking some parting shots. Former Democratic presidential candidate Dean Phillips told Politico, right now we are totally devoid of leadership. We are rudderless. And retiring Senator Joe Manchin with this take.
I am not a Democrat in the form of what the Democratic Party has turned itself into. The brand got so bad. The D brand has been so maligned from the standpoint of it's toxic.
I mean, Fred, is it time for the older guard to go? I mean, it feels like they just can't get with the program.
You know, age is something that's rewarded in politics and probably more than any other industry. And we see this on both sides. I mean, President-elect Donald Trump would be the oldest person to ever serve as president. Mitch McConnell is one of the oldest, if not the oldest, Senate Majority Leader. And then we see very similar things on the Democratic side, where we saw President Biden, and we've seen a lot of our committee leaders, Jim Clyburn and others, sort of really age into their positions. So this is something I think that the political system overall needs to address, and we need an adjustment or a course correction. You know, there's nothing wrong with experience. It's a fantastic thing. It's the world's greatest teacher. But we do need to make space in both parties for new leadership, for younger leadership, for more energetic leadership.
Rosemary, I'll give you the last word before we wrap this up here.
No, absolutely. And one of the things the American people do every year is elect new people into office. We elected out 11 Congress people and 3 U.S. senators. And that, you know, we definitely created some turnover there. And so, again, the American people have really showed that they do want to see new things. Yes, spoke out, want new leadership on a lot of issues.
We do,
and
yeah.
Absolutely.
We gotta go, guys.
Okay.
Sorry. Thank you, Rosemary,
Thank you.
Fred, for joining us. And thank you for watching the Faulkner Focus. I'm Aisha Husney, and for